Have you ever stayed in a relationship far longer than you should have, even knowing it was bad for you? Throughout my entire life, I've been in a lot of different toxic relationships. Being friends or partners that I've had, I didn't really stop having those toxic relationships until about the age of 18. Toxic relationships come in many different shapes and sizes. They could be emotional abuse, gaslighting, and disrespect. The list goes on. Sometimes reconciliation is possible, but it is super important for us to know when to walk away for our own mental sakes. Throughout all of the toxic relationships I've been in, I wanted to talk about two today. Relationship number 1. So the first relationship I want to talk about is actually a relationship I started when I was about 13. Her and I, we became friends through homeschooling, and it was a super good relationship initially. We clicked on a lot of levels and we loved hanging out together. Throughout that whole friendship, things started to escalate a few years in, and we started to have a lot of unspoken competitiveness, and it turned into a lot of fighting. That constant competition that was going on between us really made me lose my sense of self. I didn't really know who I was without her and without that competition constantly going. So for example, I was really into photography ever since 2016. I got this used camera from my aunt, and I loved taking photos. I took all of these photography classes. After a while of doing that for a couple of years, I then created this Instagram to start posting photos, and then she got a camera for her birthday, and then she made an Instagram for her photos, and that made me really, really angry because I was like, dude, I just made an Instagram about my photography, and now you're copying me. Honestly, it was really just a bunch of little kid anger. Another scenario that I can think of is when I started writing a book. She then started writing a book, and I was really like, what's happening here? So then I got really mad at her, but then we kind of came together and started writing a book together, like mixing our books together, because her book kind of sounded a lot like mine, like it could fit into it. It was like, I was a little like, well, what if we just like put them together? And then we both went along with it. And that was really fun to do. Throughout my years of knowing her and her being my best friend, we had a lot of good times. We really were there for each other. And to my knowledge, I have never, and I don't think she ever, but neither of us really ever talked about each other badly. And that was good. The bad part was the competitiveness and that kind of leading to all of our fights. And initially back then, when we were younger, we didn't know that kind of caused all of those fights. Because we fought a lot when we were younger, we eventually had a pretty horrible split. I honestly don't remember why we split and what happened. All I know is she broke it off, and I remember going to my mom and just like sobbing my eyes out, like, I don't know to do, because I don't know if anyone else has experienced losing a friend, but that hurt. It really does hurt losing a best friend. And so a couple of months went by, and I learned and was able to find my sense of self again. I was able to find confidence that I couldn't when she was in my life almost every day. Until I let her go, was I able to grow into a less toxic person. I was pretty toxic. So then I took a break from her for a couple months, and I finally was able to feel like myself again. And once I did, I reached back out to her again because she was a big part of my life. And she's still, she's not a super big part of my life right now, but she's always gonna be in my life, I know that. I asked her if we could meet for coffee to just sit and talk things out because I wanted to apologize for a lot of the stuff I said. She agreed. She said she had also taken a lot of time and realized that we were stupid and we were toxic little kids. So in the end, it came to a healthy reunion. A toxic relationship may be toxic until you step out of it for a while, and you might be able to go back into it if it's worth it. if it's worth your time. Relationship number 2. This one is a big one. This was my first boyfriend and my only boyfriend. I met my ex 3 years before I started dating him. I went to a homeschooling event. It was ice skating, and he was just there. He was just there all of a sudden, and like, I had these huge heart eyes for him. These heart eyes were so big that it blinded my vision for a long time.
Why are your eyes shaped like hearts? Allergies.
And that is honestly the danger of having that insanely big attraction to someone that you just met. So we dated for about 2 years, just about. Before we even got together, there were red flags and toxicness. I was too young to really realize that. I can't really explain or tell you how I ended up starting to date this guy, because it is still a surprise to me after everything that happened that I did date him. But I want to go through a couple of things that he did when in the relationship that was toxic. A lot of the stuff he did was toxic. The things that I'm going to mention are actually different types of toxicity. A lack of reliability. He would tell me he would make it to a certain place and come to a certain thing, and then he would not. Or he would say, yeah, I'm going to talk to you tonight on Skype, and he would not. In the relationship, he really had no respect for me, in the way of he did not respect any of my boundaries of when I said no to physical touch, and I said it multiple times. So he was a lack of support. There was no support coming from him emotionally, and the time that I really realized that was I went through a lot of depression from the ages 16 to 17. It was really bad, and I just needed someone to talk to, and I would talk to him, and it was really about the same stuff every single time. You know, I didn't know how to comprehend any of the things I had been feeling since I was so young, and I never felt that before. And one night he was playing online with his friends, and then I was like, hey, you're gonna, talk to me. I really need to talk to you now. You said you were gonna get off. Can we talk? And I started talking, and then all of a sudden he said, can you just deal with this by yourself? Like, stop being so weak. And that was the moment when I backed off, and I never talked to him about any of the mental distress that I had been going through, at least not however much, at least not to the full degree. I might have mentioned that, yeah, I'm okay, I'm not feeling all right, but I wouldn't really go into how deep it went because of that. Lost relationships. Since he did not like PDA whatsoever, it really made our relationship secret, kind of. Our friends knew nothing about it. They never knew how we were, kind of thing. They would just assume we were good. And that brought me to the place of I can't talk to my friends, I can't talk to my family, and I started to not talk to anyone. So I really lost the relationship between my friends and my family because of this dynamic between us. The final thing is he belittled me a lot. When we would be out in public, I was not very social when I was younger. I had a lot of anxiety, and I didn't know really what was wrong with me until I started going to therapy. If I was in a social setting with him, my battery would die very quickly, and I would pull back, I would not talk to anyone, and I would just have this wall up. I would go up to him and talk to him privately and be like, hey, can we just hang out alone for a little while? I need to recharge. I feel anxious and I'm nervous right now. I don't really know why. Can we do that? And he would just say, well, just fix it. Like, pretty easy. Like, just don't be that way. And I would be like, all right. Another example is he would constantly say to me that I was boring and didn't know how to have a conversation. And he didn't understand how anyone would want to talk to me. And then one more thing that he did that really stuck with me was he said that I wasn't good enough for him, and it didn't make sense for us to be together if I didn't believe in the same things that he believed in. That really stuck with me because I then started to go to all of the things that he believed in. It put all this pressure on me, especially when I still had these big hard eyes for him. The breaking point between our relationship was when I lost those hard eyes for him. It happened after a traumatic experience that he had caused, and I only realized what had happened after 6 months because of how traumatic it was. After I realized what happened, I saw this new perspective of the situation and all of the damage he had caused. Stepping away from our relationship was really hard on me because I stepped away from it right after I had that memory come back from that traumatic experience. I still loved him a lot, and it hurt me to break things off, but I knew after talking to one of my friends how bad it actually was. The irreversible effects that he had on my mental health still affect me today. I'm still going through the healing process of healing from all of the things that had happened. It was a 2-year-long relationship, and walking away was the best decision for my mental health, even though it hurt. Coming in an end to all of this, toxicity is not always blatant abuse. It's still harmful though. It's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people to admit that to themselves, that they are experiencing toxic relationships, and to step away from them. It really takes a lot of courage and confidence and support to leave a relationship like that. What I want you to do now is pause the video after I tell you these questions, and to really think of your family, your friends, and your romantic relationships, just so that we can really see if you are in the position of being in a toxic relationship. Do you constantly feel the need to change yourself to please someone else? Are your opinions or feelings dismissed or disregarded? Do you walk on eggshells around someone because you're afraid of upsetting them? Do you feel pressured to compromise on your values or boundaries? Does your gut instinct tell you that something is off, but you keep ignoring it? Now, to help you a little further, I've created a red flags list down below, and I've also just put in that document all of the toxic relationship types. It might not be all of them, but it is a large majority of them, and I put little descriptions on them so that you can know whether you're in one or not. Just to recap everything, I want to mention again, there are a lot of different types of toxicity. Some may be obvious, but some may be under the bed, hidden. Even if the situation is very minor, your mental health and your physical health really do matter. And I want you to know that you deserve to have people in your life who treat you right. The first relationship that I mentioned is a great example of reconciliation being possible with growth. But I really want to highlight for you that walking away is a completely valid and necessary choice. Make sure you take that self-assessment test that I did put in the video. It does really help to find the situations in your life that aren't treating you very well. If you're comfortable, I would love to hear about your experiences and what you've gone through. You can either comment down below, or you can join my server called the Healing Corner and tell me there. It's an exclusive community and you can only join through application, but this keeps the community safer and more supportive to you. Hi, I'm Abby. And I just want to remind you that you're not alone. A lot of people go through toxic situations and relationships. It's not fun, but everyone goes through one at least once in their life. And I want to let you know that I'm here for you, and so is everyone else. I also want to let you know that after leaving a bunch of toxic relationships and learning from them, I have finally gotten led to increasingly healthier relationships. I just want to remind you that the link down below for that PDF on red flags and toxic types is down below, and to join my server so that you can find the support that you've been looking for. If this video was helpful to you, please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps spread the message that this is a place where we can support people and you can find the support that you need. Have a wonderful and inspiring day, and don't worry, because everything's gonna be fine.